Hey everyone, welcome back to a Genshin analysis video. With the new Nodcry units releasing, everyone noticed a new and interesting mechanic to these characters: direct reaction damage. It's been a topic when it comes to guide making, such as the fact that you wouldn't build these direct reaction units with elemental damage goblets. But I wanted to look more at the possibilities for expanding on this for future characters. You can consider this a teaser for some of my videos, because this inspired a lot of different ideas for the concept side of my channel. This video is also going to be a lot more math focused, so sorry in advance to anyone who's avoiding school right now. It is kind of necessary to understand the full scope of this idea though. As usual, disclaimers, timestamps, social media links, music credits, and a link to my Discord server are all down below. Without further ado, let's start our Luna lesson on direct reaction damage. As I emphasize the formulas for reactions, here is a very important thing to keep in mind. Regular reactions and lunar reactions have extremely similar formulas. I'll emphasize any differences as we go along, and I'll also color label some of the formula parts. If it's shown in a blank or white label, this is consistent across the board, and you need to have this in place when calculating your own reaction formulas. If it's shown with a blue label, that means this part of the formula is designated for specific characters or bonuses. These sections are only added when applicable. For this video, at least, I'm not going to cover every single number in the formula. So what I have instead is a link to the damage formula section on the Genshin Wiki. From there, you can find specific formulas that you can follow. The first part is the base damage value. Depending on your character level, you get a specific base damage amount for reactions. At level 90, this base damage value is 1446.9. Every reaction uses this number, except for Vaporize and Melt, which use a completely different formula altogether. Each reaction has its own multiplier that gets multiplied with this base damage. For example, Overload has a multiplier of 2.75, so its actual base damage is around 3979. Swirl has a lower multiplier of 0.6, so its base damage is 868. For Lunar Charged, this multiplier is 1.8, so the base damage is 2604. As I go down the rest of the formula, we're going to use Inefa and Lunar Charged as our example. Second part of the formula is a base damage multiplier. This is specific for certain units, so we're marking it with a blue label. This is obtained through passives like Inefa or Flynn's, who increase LC base damage by a max of 14% each. Third is the regular damage percent bonuses. Let's branch off really quick and explain EM bonuses. There's a whole separate formula for EM bonuses based on the reaction type. Transformative reactions have one type of EM bonus formula, additive bonuses from Quicken use another, and then lunar reactions have a third formula. Once again, these EM bonus formulas are all on the wiki I linked down below. You're going to multiply your current number by your EM bonus, plus any regular damage percent bonuses you get from other sources. Regular lunar damage bonuses include weapons, artifacts, or character passives. Plainly speaking, if a bonus is not labeled specifically as a base damage bonus, it goes in this third section. For my example, let's say Inefa's running the Nodcry support set in an Ascendant team with the full bonuses. I'll say she has 250 EM just for a baseline, and is also running her signature weapon. 250 EM is around a 66% damage bonus. The full artifact set grants an additional 20% bonus when its effects are maxed out, and then her signature grants the team 40%. In total, you're increasing Inefa's LC damage by 126%. Another optional bonus I'll mark with a blue label is flat damage bonuses. So far, Mizuki can apply this for swirls at C1, and Llama's Burst applies this for all bloom-related reactions. This is only added after the other bonuses in the formula, and is therefore unaffected by other damage bonuses. After this, you calculate the character's crit bonuses, which mainly applies to lunar reactions and a few character abilities, so it'll also be a blue label. Finally, take into account the elemental resistance of the enemy, and you get your final damage. There's a few branching with each reaction, so in Lunar Charge, for example, it takes a further calculation for every character who contributes. We don't have to cover that part here, because only that initial formula is relevant to the video. If you want to know more about Lunar Charged formula, you can find the info on that in my Lunar Charged explained video, or by looking at that wiki page. But every blank or white labeled section is the important stuff for what I'm going to cover later in this video. When we look at direct reaction damage, this entire formula stays the same, except for the base damage. Instead of our usual 1446.9 times multiplier value, this is instead character stat times stat multiplier. For the case of Inefa in direct LC damage, her base damage is 65% of her attack. Weirdly, direct LC damage has a further multiplier of 3. Because there's a random 3 times multiplier hidden in the formula, her 65% attack scaling is actually 195%. Aside from this, every single part after this formula is calculated the exact same way. I know, we love math and all, but on the idea of game design, how does knowing this formula apply? For starters, we have a general pattern on future lunar reactions. If we ever see stuff like lunar swirl, freeze, shatter, or vaporize, characters will likely use a similar formula to do damage, which makes it easier to do some early calculations for character damage, but that's not the important part. For regular reaction damage, this first section for base damage is consistent across the board, 1446.9 times reaction multiplier. By this logic, it's theoretically possible for direct reaction damage to work the same way for regular reactions, not just lunar reactions. And I want to show a hypothetical calculation to further explain some of the potential with this idea. Kaveh has an A1 passive where he heals himself based on 300% of his EM. What if instead, his A1 passive caused him to deal direct bloom damage based on 300% of his EM? And just to emphasize, not lunar bloom damage, regular bloom damage. Let's just say he has 900 EM built. The formula would follow the same pattern of a regular transformative reaction, but you replace that base damage with a value of 900 times 300%, which is 2700. When it comes to reaction multipliers, these also don't have to be consistent. Regular LC damage, for example, is a 1.8 multiplier, while direct LC damage is a 3 times multiplier. So for my example on Kaveh, maybe regular bloom is a 2 times multiplier, while direct bloom might be something lower, like 1.6, or even something higher, like 2.4. It's all personal preference really when it comes to balancing the numbers. Now, I've already made a Kaveh rework video, and I'm not doing another, but this whole idea of Kaveh or other Dendro characters using direct bloom might pop up in future videos, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. Overall, the idea of direct reaction damage massively spiked my creativity and inspiration for some character ideas. The theoretical formulas I mentioned before could be applied to other sorts of reactions such as superconduct, swirl, overload, technically even non-damaging reactions like freeze or crystallize. This video explaining the math formulas is honestly less relevant for general players. It's more relevant for those who are interested in the math side of theory crafting. And if that Miliastra Wonderland game mode lets us make custom kits, we are going to need to know this information to properly simulate combat gameplay. In the meantime, you'll definitely see some concept videos popping up that might use this direct reaction mechanic. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this whole direct reaction mechanic in the first place. What are some aspects you like, and what aspects you think you'd change if given the chance? As a reminder, all damage formulas can be found on the wiki link in my description. And if you want to share your own ideas, consider joining my Discord server. Thanks again for watching everyone, and I will see you all next time. Bye!